If you're watching this, first I want to thank you for checking out the SEO testing program with me. This is the heartbeat that drives the SEO testing programs that I've helped develop to drive results for Topalti and for various clients through title testing, featured snippet testing, full content rewrite testing, and various other SEO testing activities. In other words, SEO testing in my mind is simply the measurement process that goes into figuring out whether or not one of our processes or ideas turned into something positive. So with that being said, these are the video instructions. There's a basic dashboard. There is an opportunities tab to help you find opportunities on your website where you could start testing yourself. There's an advanced dashboard, and then these final two tabs are in support of the advanced dashboard. We're going to talk about that later. I want to start first with just the basic dashboard. So the basic dashboard looks like this. You track all of your experiments. These are all individual experiments, individual page experiments. Technically, you could do A/B experiments as well in here if you would like, but this is designed for single URL experiments. So you would put the page URL, the primary keyword that's associated with the page URL. You'd identify which variables you're going to test. Is this a title test, an H1 test? Is it or a title plus H1 test? Is it a section takeaway, internal links test, featured snippet? Whatever that thing is that you're testing on the site, you're going to indicate that. And then there's a status column. I'll talk about that in a minute. That'll just help you see where all of your experiments are in the production process. Sort of a project management section of the dashboard. And then you're going to indicate your control record, whatever your control is for the experiment. Put it here. Sometimes I'll link to a Google document to make sure that I have, like, you know, let's say the original page copy. If it's a whole page rewrite, I'll have a Google document for that. And then the variant record. And if it's a title test, all you have to do is write the control title or the variant title. A hypothesis column, so you can indicate what your hypothesis is for the experiment. You'll put the index request date for a Google Search Console. That's the date, whatever date you launch the test and submit it to Google Search Console, that's what you're going to put here. You'll put the end date, and then that'll show you the test duration. You'll track the keyword rank of your primary keyword before, and then the ranking of your primary keyword after, so you can see whether it went up or down and by how many positions. URL clicks before, URL clicks after, and then this will help you automatically track the clicks difference. And then CTR before, CTR after, and then the CTR percent change. And I consider the CTR percent change to be a leading indicator in these experiments. And the reason for that is because CTR is already normalized. In other words, it already controls for fluctuations in day-to-day, click behavior and just some of those day-to-day fluctuations that happen. CTR kind of filters out that noise automatically, because at the end of the day, if you earn more clicks because you ranked higher, or if you earn more clicks because let's say your page title was just a better title and more people, a higher percentage of people clicked on that title, either way, the CTR is going to normalize for that, and it's going to tell you that, hey, you actually earned more clicks, regardless of which way you earned more clicks. Then we have an inference column, and that's just going to help us say whether it's positive, negative, or neutral. An action column to decide, what do we want to do next? This experiment's been run. Do we want to keep the variant? Do we want to revert to a control? Do we want to iterate on it, or do we want to just extend the test and let it run a little bit longer because we're not sure what the conclusion is yet? And then finally, just a notes and takeaways section. So that's how the basic dashboard works. This part is also really exciting. It's the opportunities tab. All you have to do for the opportunities tab is export, and it could be just your current settings in GSC. So export CSV of the Google search, of your Google Search Console URLs, essentially. Take the pages out of Google Search Console, copy those, paste it into here, and it will automatically tell you where your top opportunities are based on the available clicks. And available clicks is the gap between clicks and impressions. So if you're getting a lot of impressions for a particular page, but not a lot of clicks, that is usually a good place to start for SEO testing. Now, this doesn't account for conversions. You would have to do that separately with your own data in either analytics or Salesforce or whatever CMS or whatever CRM you're using to measure conversions. But if you're just trying to test for traffic, this is a great way to just find some really fast, low-hanging fruit opportunities based on the available clicks gap. And again, all you have to do is copy and paste that from Google Search Console. I'm going to move over to this is gokoala.com. The company name is Koala. This is a company that I've contracted with and done some SEO experimenting with. So here I've got all of their data in the basic dashboard. Their number one page that they care most about is timeshare rentals. So with Koala, we created a hypothesis. We have a control record, a variant record of that experiment. We launched it on January 3rd. We tracked the rankings before and after. It did earn one position extra, but because this was a high volume search term and because it was a high converting search term for this business, that's what they do. That's their main keyword that they need to rank for and that they drive conversions from. We were able to get to go from 893 clicks to 1575, which is a clicks difference of 682. CTR before, it basically raised 0.8% in click-through rate, which is roughly 18%. So we inferred that this was a positive test, and we chose to keep the variant on this. So you can run, you can, you can stack up as many of these single URL experiments as you would like in this dashboard, and it really helps you keep track, because when you're experimenting, sometimes you'll put something in there, you'll need to go back, you'll need to make sure you have record of the control title just in case you need to revert back to the control title. So not only does this help you keep everything handy, it also helps you track the results of what you're doing. Now, there is an advanced dashboard here that I think is pretty exciting, but before I get to that, I'm going to chat about the Opportunities tab one more time. This is Koala's data from the Opportunities tab. Here you can see we've just pasted this straight from Google Search Console, and it shows the top URLs, clicks, impressions, CTR position. This right here, these columns are exactly what you would get when you export that data from Search Console. And again, all you have to do is paste it into this section. And once you do, this column populates and you can sort. So you can say, you're gonna go Z to A in this case, and then you can see the available clicks. So it's telling us that, hey, the home page has a large gap between clicks and impressions. Maybe we can test there. What is RCI and how does it work? That's an interesting one. So that's getting a very substantial amount of a substantial amount of available clicks. So maybe we should test there. Another one is the Disney World page. So this just helps you prioritize based on where the potential opportunity is. And if I wanted to go do another round of tests for Koala, I might start here. So with that said, let's check out the advanced dashboard. First, I'll explain why we have the advanced dashboard in the first place. The reason here is because we wanted to find a way to normalize whatever data we're measuring. When we're just looking at the raw data, in other words, especially in terms of clicks, when we're looking at raw data for clicks before and clicks after, a lot of people wonder, well, how do you account for seasonal changes, or how do you account for differences in the volatility in those weeks that you might be testing with those clicks? Because it could just be that maybe one week you're getting more clicks for some other reason outside of your experiment. That's a very valid question, a very valid concern, and my answer to that is data normalization. So what we've done here is, and I'm going to show you these other two tabs to explain it, what we've done here is we've normalized that data. So we've taken, in the case of the timeshare rentals page, we can look at we normalize it based on impressions. So we take the impressions data before and the impressions data after, and we figure out what is the percent change of the impressions data. And in this case, the impressions data before was about 22,000. The data after was about 33,000. That's an improved, or that's a gap of about 49.5%. So I'm just going to say, to round it out, I'm going to call it 50%. So that 50% gap in impressions change, we may want to adjust the clicks volume for that. So that way we can say, hey, 50% more people happened upon these SERPs in the after data than did in the before data. So if there's a rise of about 50% more people on the SERPs in the after data, then we don't know if we got more clicks just because of that natural fluctuation in after data growth. So to account for that, we normalize the data by impressions, and we say, all right, the raw data had 893 clicks. So if we multiply 893 by 49.5%, then we get 1335, and that's a normalized data piece. Ironically, as I mentioned before, the CTR is already normalized. So when we look at the clicks percent change before and after, meaning if I look at the normalized clicks, not the raw clicks, but the normalized clicks before and the clicks after, then I get basically an 18% change in clicks data. Now, when I look at the CTR percent change before and after, it's pretty much telling the exact same story that we did when we were normalizing the clicks data. That's why if you're short on time and you just need to measure it really quickly, I definitely recommend using CTR as a leading indicator, using the keyword growth as a lagging indicator, and sometimes that's a leading indicator as well, by the way. So you can kind of look at these two things as the primary indicators of your success. But if you want to take things a step further and you really want to know if the clicks growth came from your experiment or if it came from just more people searching that week or something like that, then you would want to normalize that data based on the impressions. So that's how that works. And when we do that, now we see a normalized clicks difference of 240. So still a positive experiment, which we kind of knew because we saw in the CTR that it was an 18% improvement in CTR. And when we go back here and we look at the non-normalized data, we see 682 clicks. So that's the whole reason for this advanced dashboard. And if you want to do any data normalization, all you have to do is use this raw inputs tab. If you're running experiments for a certain amount of weeks before and after, then you can export your Search Console data for the before range, paste it in the before range on this raw inputs tab, then do the same thing for the after range. Figure out what the date range is for your after results, and then paste that here. And then once you do those two things, this tab will automatically normalize everything for you. So you don't have to even change this tab, and then this will get pulled into the advanced dashboard. So that's why the advanced dashboard exists. Again, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. It is faster to use the basic dashboard. So I do recommend that if you want to save time. Finally, let's check out the status tab. The status tab, what I will do is the numbers, don't let the numbers confuse you. The numbers are set up in terms of, they're a sorting mechanism. The numbers do not indicate order of operations. When I have a new experiment, I will put it in at number 9, and I'll say, this is an opportunity that's been identified. I want to test this opportunity, and I haven't set it up yet. So number 9, which is opportunity identified, that's where pretty much everything starts. I've identified it, I put it in here. Then when I'm ready to actually start building a test and a hypothesis for this, I'll move it up to number 1, and it'll be in the analysis and setup phase. That's where I'll start to, analyze the SERPs, set up the experiment, come up with a hypothesis, and benchmark everything. Then when it's time to launch the experiment, we'll say launched experiment. And number 3, this is essentially the same as number 2, but it's there as a reminder, because it's so easy to forget that you have to submit this to Google Search Console when you launch it. So I've added number 3 to make sure that there's a reminder in here for all of us to index or to request an index with Google Search Console for every experiment that we launch. Number 4 is we've benchmarked the data. This is especially important for the keyword positions. A lot of times you can retroactively get the data for clicks and impressions, but I really like to benchmark those primary keyword positions at the point, at the day that I launched the experiment. That way I know what it was. It's sometimes harder to go back and get that keyword ranking data retroactively. Once it's all benchmarked and launched, you have a live experiment. I typically recommend about 2 weeks, sometimes 3 or more, depending on how long you want it to run for or how slowly it's accruing data. And then once we're ready to kind of end the experiment, we're going to do a retro analysis. We're just going to go back, we're going to analyze what the performance was. That's where we'll look at all of those columns with the click through rate data and with the position data and all of that. Then reporting. If you're just doing this on your own site, you may not need to report this to anybody, but most of us are working for somebody else. And when we get positive results, we want to report that. And when we get negative results, it's helpful to report that as well, so that we can learn what we want to do and we can revert back to control if that's what we want to do as well. So reporting is an important step. And then finally, experiment complete. And you can see here, most of these are complete experiments, and that's how we know to end it. And if at any point in time you want to pause an experiment, or you want to just sort of delete it or put it on the back burner, you can indicate that you want it to be a paused experiment or qualified out. So that is it. This has been my most exciting project and my most exciting work, and so I really hope that this brings value to you and brings a method to your SEO testing madness to organize everything and to look for ways to grow and to find out what's working in your strategies. And that's all I have. So hit me up if you would like any additional information or instructions on how to run your experiments.